I'm seeing a pattern in the chart right now that I think everyone should be aware of, and I'll go ahead and say this up front. I'm not going to trade any of these moves that I'm talking about. I have a decent amount of Dogecoin, a heck of a lot of it. I continue to buy more, I continue to hold that, but because I talk about it so much on my show, I think I would lose some credibility if I was also trading at a high level with Doge. So I'm not trading any of it. I'm continuing to hold 100%, and I will hold even through all of this. I'm doing the same exact thing with Bitcoin. With smaller cryptocurrencies, I do trade and make a lot of money from that, and some of that is on the Patreon. I talk a lot about those cryptos and where I'm taking profits, generally up around 50%. I'll take a lot of profits on some of these cryptos on the Patreon picks. You can come join there and have those picks as well if you want to be part of that. But for this one, I'm not going to trade it. I don't think that would be the right move here. I want to have the credibility over just making a little bit of extra money. I don't think that's the way to go. So I'm not going to trade, but with that said, I do want to talk about this move and why I think it's possible. We could be about to see a Dogecoin flash crash. I will also show you the percentage chance of that happening because it's not 100% chance. It's impossible to see a 100% chance with anything when it comes to crypto, but I'll tell you exactly what I think the percent chance of a crash is. This chart shows the 200-day average as that yellow line right there. You can see what it's been doing as it's been moving. And Bitcoin passing the yellow line right there was a negative sign that we were about to see more downward action. And that's exactly what happened. We saw it passing it in the downward direction and then continuing to stay down before eventually coming back up. Then you can see right here, this purple one, that is the 50-day average. So the purple one, the yellow one, those are going to be the most indicative of the future of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency altogether through the lens of Bitcoin, because Dogecoin is going to do a lot of the same things that Bitcoin does, especially in the short term. There will be many catalysts specific to Doge in the future, but for now, we do have to rely some on the stability of Bitcoin and the progress of Bitcoin in order to see Doge doing well too. Then the green line is the 20-day average with Bitcoin. And as we watch and follow this yellow line, you can see. So of course, because for pretty much the entire year previous to this most recent Dogecoin run at the beginning of 2021, most recent Bitcoin run at the beginning of 2021, we did not see Bitcoin having a very high price. So that's why the 200-day average was so much lower for such a long time. But every single time that happens, it will eventually pass back. So it's not going to stay above or below forever. It's going to pass it. And right now we are seeing Bitcoin currently a decent ways above the yellow line there. And because of that, we are starting to get a couple of signals that it could be about to have a flash crash, which means it'll fall between 10 and 20%, maybe even around 30% in a single day. Most likely it'll be 10 or 20, somewhere in that range. 30% is very, very, very unlikely. That's worst case scenario type event. And for a flash crash, at least, it can be worse than that over the course of a month. But normally you don't see 30% drops in a single day. It's very rare to see that. We could see a 10 to 20% drop though in a single day at some point of this month. And I put the probability of that happening at approximately 50%, which is kind of scary to think about. And we still obviously have so many reasons to believe in cryptocurrency long term, but this is not just a fan channel of crypto. We are going to talk about the actual stats and the actual signals we're seeing, even if it's negative, because I think it's better to have the information and make our own decisions than to not have it. And again, I'm not selling mine, and I do think it's going to come right back up. So if you are worried about taxes, if you don't want to trade it, then there's no reason you have to sell right now. It's not like a super imperative important thing. A 10 to 20% drop in one day is a lot, but it's not necessarily going to be like the end of the world for people who are holding long term, because it will go back again. That's what happens in crypto. But here is another signal. We have seen 3 green channels that have formed each time Bitcoin has bounced off a certain point over the last month. This chart right here starts at the beginning of August, and over the last month we have seen what it's done. You can see right there, it follows the green channel. Bounce, 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 whoop. Then over here, bounce, 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 whoop. Bounce, 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 whoop. You're not likely to see too many of those in a row. Now, when you see 3 in a row, that means most likely the next bounce is going to be in the downward direction, and we will see a bit of a red curve. And it's not what we want to see, but that's what the chart is showing. And we have to listen to it because oftentimes it is correct. And that's why I didn't put it at an 80% probability of happening. I didn't put it at 90% probability of happening. I put it at approximately 50%, which is still high. And that should be a reason that everyone should be a little bit worried right now about this specific one, but not too worried, just simply because I don't think there's a very high chance of Bitcoin going far below 30,000 ever again. I mean, it's possible, technically speaking, but there's so much institutional support around 30,000 that if it ever does drop below that number again, which is a chance it could happen, it's not going to stay there very long. Any number really at this point under 38,000 is a really, really, really good target price for accumulating Bitcoin. And again, not financial advice, make your own decision, do whatever the heck you want. But personally for me, that's the price where I feel more comfortable at this current point in time, putting more money into Bitcoin. And with Dogecoin though, it's a little bit different. Dogecoin, we have to look at that through the lens of at any point in time, a major catalyst can happen with Doge. That is not as possible with Bitcoin because it's already so big. And so with Dogecoin, I think the chances of Dogecoin having a crash of 10 to 20% in a single day are actually a little bit smaller than Bitcoin. I put it around 40% chance of that happening based on the chart. But because if Bitcoin does it, then we're likely going to see other cryptos doing it maybe to a lesser extent, but still doing it too. And some of them may even fall more. So it's tough to really know what's going to happen. But you can see this is what the Dogecoin chart has been doing. Red candle, green candle, red candle, and then a little mini green candle that may still change because the day is yet to end. And we're going to continue to monitor this. But we are seeing a little bit of a similar pattern with Bitcoin and Dogecoin, even though technically Dogecoin is not showing as big of a flash signal that it could crash. It's not even close to as big. And really, 40% is, I'm just being kind of a little bit safe on the side of we're going to be careful here. Really, probably it's a little bit less than that. It's probably somewhere around 35%, maybe even less than that, because you cannot under any circumstances play the market scared. You have to play the market with the information, but also be confident in the things that you know are true. And there's a lot of things that we know are true in the positive direction for Dogecoin, which is why the majority of us, including me, are still continuing to hold. And when we do see dips, we like to buy in. A lot of us do, because it's a good opportunity to make more money, especially considering the fact that right now, Bitcoin and Dogecoin should be parallel when it comes to the number. So for example, what I mean by that is if Bitcoin is currently at 48,000, then Dogecoin should be at 48 cents. That's really where the target price right now of Dogecoin and Bitcoin are at around that same number there. So I expect we're going to see another jump for Dogecoin not too long from now, and there's a lot of reasons to be really confident in that, and I've continued to talk about them a lot on the channel. Solana, by the way, is also doing really well right now. We have to give a lot of credit to Solana because it has actually found a way to jump into that top echelon of cryptos almost. It's not quite there, but Solana now up to a $27 billion market cap. After passing 30 billion, I will give it a top echelon stamp, a top echelon stamp of approval. If you do get into that top echelon of over $30 billion market cap, then that means you're going to be one of the ones that institutions are looking at, that companies are considering accepting. The ones below that have a much smaller chance of actually having long-term use case. You have to be toward the top or have a specific thing with a specific company in order to have that use case. Solana, what makes it unique, one of the easiest innovations in Solana, one of the essential innovations in Solana rather, is to the table that has a proof of history consensus developed by Antoni Yukonova, and the concept allows for greater scalability of the protocol, which in turn boosts usability. Solana is known in the cryptocurrency space because of the incredibly short processing time the blockchain offers. Solana's hybrid protocol allows for significantly decreased validation times for both transaction and smart contract execution. Basically, in short, it's just fast, it's good, it works easily, and there's also a lot of institutions that are coming and saying, Solana, okay, we're a little bit interested in this based on the seamlessness of the blockchain and how it is able to function. There's a lot of advantages to Solana. That's why it's been able to really climb so much, even in the face of some of these other drops that we've seen. At this point, is it worth an investment? I think Solana right now is better than most of the top cryptos, with the exception of Dogecoin and XRP. I think those two have more potential than Solana right now. If you're going to go for stability, then you're probably going to be looking at Bitcoin or Ethereum, especially more heavily on the Bitcoin side. But if you want high upside and you also want to be in the top, those are the two that I'm looking at very strong right now: Dogecoin, XRP, and we're really Dogecoin and Solana. I'm a big fan of Solana, and I've always been since the beginning. That's why I've continued to talk about it to some degree. Addition said Matt is a whale. Matt's a whale. I see that. Actually, I'm a human. I'm a human. Someone said I see that chain. Yeah, Diana actually got that for me. So then, thank you, Diana, for that. See a coin to $1. Interesting. That's an opinion you don't hear a lot, because not a lot of people are talking about that. But we are also seeing the Fed chair, Mr. Powell. He is continuing to say that the government will buy assets, and they're also going to continue to print money. We were hoping maybe we would see a little bit more of, and well, actually, there's two ways to look at this. So if you want. If your goal is to see the economic stability increase And if your goal is to see less inflation, if you have a lot currently in the US dollar, and I consider that an investment. If you're investing in the US dollar, then perhaps you don't want, and you definitely don't want, them to continue printing more and more of it, because that makes the ones that you have currently in your account worth less. But if you're more heavily invested in cryptocurrency, then there are some advantages to the government doing the wrong thing when it comes to the dollar, which will then make the price of cryptocurrency go up. And also, more than that, it'll make the value of cryptocurrency go up, because it'll prove that you actually should own something outside of the US dollar. And Dogecoin, Bitcoin, two big examples there, obviously. The inflation rate, you can do a simple Google search and find out 5.4%. That is based on the last two inflation reports. But it probably is going to go down after some of these things start to flatten out with what we're seeing with the economy, but they still have printed more than they've printed in any other situation like this in the past. They've never responded to something like this by printing as much money as they have. And you can argue maybe it was needed, but at the same time, is it worth the consequences on the dollar? That just comes down to whether you're holding a lot of the dollar or whether you're holding a lot of cryptocurrency. It's all biased. It's all biased there. It's about perspective, and everyone's going to have a different perspective because everyone has a different, unique investing situation. By the way, Elon Musk continue to do some cool things with Tesla. Look at that. I mean, I think that would be a cool house to live in. You have the Tesla solar panels, the Tesla car. That's kind of the dream one day, and I think it's going to happen. I think a lot of us, by investing in Dogecoin early, we'll actually be able to see some of the dreams that we have in the future, some of the dreams that we're hoping for become realized, because Dogecoin is one of the most unique opportunities in crypto right now. It's not perfect. Like I said on the live, there's a decent chance we're going to see a flash crash soon, which is why everyone should be prepared. But you don't have to be scared if you're holding long term. Only if you're trying to trade the market, that's where this is really more important for you. And or if you just want to be cognizant of it so that you're not as caught off guard by it. I think that's important too. And also you may want to take advantage of it if you're looking to buy the dip. That's another thing too. So there's a lot of factors there. But anyway, I'm Matt Wass. This is Final Stand.